Welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are on location at Madison Media Institute. We're very excited to be here. We are sitting sandwiched between a couple of sets of cameras here.
I don't know which way to look.
Right. We'll talk to those folks later on in the program. They've got some great programs themselves, but first you should recognize this familiar face. John Scherer joins us now from Trinity Financial Planning. John, how are you?
You good? Good to see you guys.
Yeah. So you always have some great advice, great tips for us. What are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I thought that there's the old saying, there's two certainties in life, death and taxes. Right?
Yeah.
So we just wrapped up with tax season. I thought we'd tackle the other unpleasant topic.
Yeah. Why not?
Talk about life insurance and how that fits into financial planning.
The dust hasn't even settled yet from tax season, and we're starting to talk about death.
Rip the Band-Aid off all at one time, right?
Absolutely.
This is the world you live in. I'm glad you do it so that we don't have to live in it. But yes, let's talk about that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Life insurance language obviously can be pretty confusing to some folks. There's obviously different types of plans. Can you explain in plain English what different types of policies are available?
Sure. There's a lot of names out there and a lot of things that can be confusing when you're looking at things. But there's basically two types of insurance. There's term insurance, which just provides death benefit. If you die, the death benefit gets paid out. And then there's cash value, and cash value insurance has all kinds of different names, whole life and universal life and different things, but the cash value is something that builds up an investment component inside of it. So you can really think of it in two ways. Term, it's that name, it's set for fixed term, 20 years or something to that effect. Cash value, or they call it permanent insurance, that's designed to be around as long as you're alive, and it builds up a cash component.
Okay. So what, in your opinion, how do you know which one to get?
Well, it's interesting that for most people, term insurance is the way to go,
Really?
And getting enough coverage. And it's sort of confusing because on the sales side, when the agents are selling things, they explain all the different options, and the permanent insurance, the cash value, can sound pretty good.
Right.
But when you step back and look at it from a big picture, most people, 95, 98%, should just buy a lot of term insurance and not worry about the cash value.
Really?
Unless you're putting in, if you're maxing out all your 401k plans and all your IRA options, so you're saving $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and still have more to save, that's when the whole life or the cash value can make sense. But for
Then
most
you're
of
in
us,
really good
just
shape
term.
all around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So I just want to interject a quick question here, and that is, what happens then at the end of a term life insurance policy? It was 15, 20 years, whatever. What happens at the end
Basically,
of that?
it goes away.
Okay.
Right? There's different variables that come with that, but typically the cost of the insurance goes, 10 times what the initial cost was, so you could keep it if you had cancer or something like that.
Okay.
But basically, you keep it for that fixed period of time. And the idea sort of is that, listen, you've got young kids, you're starting off in your career, now you got to protect the things that your family, for your income. Now you get to be in your 50s or your 60s, and you say, geez, you should have your retirement savings. We got a lot of folks that are getting ready for retirement that come to us, and we'll be talking this afternoon with somebody about, they've got all this insurance, but they can retire in the next couple of years. If one of them dies, they're going to be in pretty good shape, and they don't need that to protect all the future income, unlike younger people where you've got kids at home that are under 10 years old.
Okay, so I get it. So it's kind of in that interim phase. You actually don't necessarily need life insurance forever.
Right.
Okay,
Interesting.
see, I always learn something on this show. What do you think in terms of how much coverage someone should get?
That's the other thing, is that people think like $1 million is a lot of money if you win the lottery. But if you've got to raise 2 kids for the next 20 years, that's not very much money. And so you need more than you think, probably.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it individually. It depends on each unique situation, but a good guideline is 7 to 12 times your income. If you're in that range, you're probably going to be okay. If you're less than that, you almost certainly need more. And you start getting above that, and you go, oh, geez, that might be too much insurance. But get a lot. I always recommend, and when I talk with people, is get enough coverage. If something happens, you find out you got cancer, your spouse gets hit by a car, and you come having enough. And and the term insurance is pretty cheap, really. We just got a client bought a policy, and it was like $500,000 was $500 a year or something like that for premium. I mean, not really expensive.
Sure.
And so it's make sure you have enough. If you're going to make a mistake on the high side. This is not something that you want to find out you don't have enough.
Well, yeah, if you get some kind of bad news, like these life events that you're talking about, it would be real bad news if you weren't prepared.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah, be prepared.
So there's term, and then the other one's called cash.
That's right, cash value.
Cash value. So and the cash value has an investment component to it, but the term does not.
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
The term is pure insurance.
Pure insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't really get any return on your investment unless you croak.
Right,
so,
right.
Okay.
Similar similar to your automobile insurance, other things like that, right?
Right. Unlike taxes.
Right, there you go. There you go. So for folks who are thinking of getting life insurance, any other helpful hints or tips that you can offer?
You know, the one thing is that for some of the people that might fit where they need to have, where the cash value could play a part in their situation, you start talking bigger numbers. That's the other thing we didn't talk about. The term insurance, you know, $500, it depends on how old you are and things, but it's pretty cheap. A similar amount of cash value or permanent insurance would cost maybe $5,000 a year. So there's a big difference in those two things.
Yeah.
And you know, when the agents are selling those, they make a bigger commission, obviously, on the higher dollar one, and so it's hard to get independent advice.
Right.
There are people out there, and you can search for fee-only life insurance advisors. So if you're looking to buy a big policy and have some, you know, get some advice that where somebody doesn't have a dog in the fight. It's going to cost you a couple $1,000, but you know what you're getting, and you're getting objective advice on things.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the other thing that I just say is we see a lot of folks that come in with the accidental death and dismemberment, or some of these, you know, unique policy, these little things that, well, geez, if you need $1 million of insurance, what difference does it make if you get cancer or you get hit by a truck?
Right.
Get the right amount of insurance. Typically, those extra little things, they go, oh, it's, you know, it sounds like a good thing, but most often it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Wow. John Scherer from Trinity Financial Planning.
Thank
We
you,
always learn
John.
so much. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for joining us today. Don't go away. There's more Wisconsin Family coming up right after the break.